But people out there are probably wrestling with that decision of, should I start my own business? When would it make sense? When should I dive all in and be ready to quit my day job versus keeping something just for a security reason? Like, what advice would you give to people who are wanting to start their own business?
Yeah, the answer is it's different for everyone. And that's one thing that I've learned, and I'm actually going to be starting a podcast probably soon, is I do want to share the stories of different people, how they started. It's literally different for everyone, and there's not a right or wrong way. I think the bigger, more important thing is when you do decide to start is you go all in on it. And if that means, because a lot of people too will say like, oh, if it's a side hustle, you can't go all in. I get what they're saying, but like there are going to be certain situations where you have bills and a wife and kids, and you can't just go all in with no revenue. So you need to go on your side hustle until you have one. And so I think it's different for everyone.
Okay, I've got a lot of questions for you that are kind of selfish because of what you do for work.
Okay, let's get into it.
Because we're both in marketing, but I think we're in very different worlds of marketing. So I have no idea how yours all works. And so I have a lot of questions on that. And then we got a bunch of questions on Instagram. Most of them are pretty random and weird. Yeah. So we'll get a little weird. And then there are a couple that are for realsies.
Hopefully some came from Chad. I bet his were the most weird.
We got lots of weird ones. But I think the most important thing for me on this one is helping people understand what you do, because I think it's really cool. Not just what you do, but how you got there and what it's like starting a business and leaving the 9-to-5 corporate world and taking that risk and that jump and everything. So first off, like, tell me the story of Sixth Media.
All right. Well, Sixth Media, I guess we can go to, I've been in this space for over a decade now, about 11, 12 years now. And it's funny how I stumbled into SEO. It's when I met my wife and I was like, man, we're going to probably get married and I love this woman and man, I need to get a real job. Cause like, I think at the time I was working for Chad's dad.
Yeah.
Doing we were doing the distribution to the gas stations as like a part-time job. I was a part-time rent-a-cop and going to school. And then, so I was like, man, I need to like do something. So I just applied to a bunch of random jobs, found a local SEO company, which was awesome. And the stuff I was doing then like would literally get your site penalized today, but it worked then, right? And so I just kind of fell in love with that process. And the thing I love about SEO and about like organic search is it's changed so much.
Yeah.
Like, and even now with AI coming out, like it's going to change so much again. Like you have to proactively, and I love that about it. Like it's not like I've been doing the same thing for over a decade. So that's how I got into it. And so, and the cool thing too is like in Utah, there's a lot of marketing agencies. It's kind of like you said, Silicon Slopes, right? And so being at a few different marketing agencies gave me the opportunity to see how they run it, what they do well, some things that I would like to change or do differently. Some people that offered a great service, but maybe had a crappy culture, and you can't scale without a great team behind you. And so anyway, there was eventually this point where I was like, man, I kind of had that itch to kind of do my own thing. But at the time I had 3 kids and a wife that didn't work, a mortgage, all the bills. And it's like, because like everyone's story is different, right? Some people can just like, I have an idea, I'm going to do this, I'm going to jump, let's go. Yeah. And for me, it's like, I have an idea, I want to do this. Okay, I got to be calculated about this because I can't just jump and run into it. And so I just slowly kind of started building on the side. And it was really hard because the company I was working for had, like, it was in the similar space. And so I only could take on very baby clients, like $500 a month or less. Yeah. Where I would be competing with them. And so I even gave them some of the opportunities, like, hey, do you want to work with this person? It's this much. Like, no, we don't want them. Okay. So I kind of slowly built that out. And then I reached a point where I had enough revenue where I felt like, okay, it's like now or never. And I even debated, I flew over to Red Ventures, which is like Clearlink, if you're familiar with their model, interviewed with them. And it was either fly my family out to North Carolina for like, and I think the salary was like $110,000. So it was a decent salary offer that they had. But I decided to double down on myself. And so I jumped, and the rest is history, I guess. So for me, that's kind of how I had to do it, because I needed to have money coming in to be able to do it. But I also had to still give it 110% at my full-time job, which again, that's the cool thing about me. And I would say maybe my previous, I guess, boss maybe would disagree with me, since we went to a whole lawsuit and all that, right? Yeah. But I can say, like, deep down in my soul that I gave him 110%, that company 110%, why I was starting my thing on the side. It was a lot of sleep, a lot of like 2 to 3 hours nights of sleep, which is crazy, because I did that for like a year and a half. Even when I went full time, I felt like, because I was the only one doing the fulfillment, only one doing the strategy, only one doing the sales, I was doing the same thing. But now if I try to do like pull an all-nighter, dude, I'm like wrecked for like a week.
You're getting old, man.
And so it's just crazy how it kind of started that way. And now we have a team behind us. I think we have 13 or 14 employees in our Lehigh office. Wow. And then we have maybe 10 or 20 contracted writers across the U.S. And that's one big thing, one value that I've really focused on, is having our entire team in the U.S. My margins aren't as great, but I know that's kind of like one of my core values that I believe in. So that's how I started and got in the industry and made that leap. It was very planned out and calculated, and as much as risk adverse as you could be, but at some point you still have to take the risk and just jump.
Yeah. With the services that you offer, a person who would ever listen to this, what does that person look like? Who'd be like, ooh, I need that, right? Based on the things that you offer at Six Media.
Yeah. So, our core services, just so that we can go through those. So we do website design and development. And that's really mainly because a lot of times when you're doing like SEO, the organic strategy, the technology is something that can hold you back. Like, you can implement awesome content and awesome strategy and all the things, but if you don't have an actual base platform, you're not going to go far. So website design and development, SEO, and then we do paid ads as well on social and on like Google and YouTube. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing some beta testing with some short video reels and TikTok and stuff, which has honestly gone really cool. But that's like our core services. And we work with, the one thing that I actually was happy about, because when I started my business, COVID hit seriously 3 months after I started. So I was like brand new into it, new entrepreneur, and then like COVID's hitting. I had a lot of clients in the medical space, like medical spas or pediatric offices or plastic surgeons. And so I'm like getting information from them in their medical circles, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? What's going on? And anyway, I'm glad that I was diverse enough that, like, because I know some people, like dentists, right? A lot of them had to shut down or were forced to. And so if you were like just a dental marketing agency, you might have not survived. I don't know if some did. So I was diverse enough. So we work really well like with e-com. And not e-com startups. And this is on one thing I learned the last year. It's e-com that's doing like $20K a month. Mm-hmm. We can really help them scale, because we can come in and really dump gasoline on that fire, them growing. We also work really well in like multi-location businesses. Like, we just recently started working with Bucked Up. They have 14 franchise locations, but they also have e-com. So it's like a hybrid model. We recently started working with Bullfrog Spas. They have like 300 dealer locations across the U.S. So multi-location is like our bread and butter right now that we're really doubling down into. And then just any local business that doesn't understand the online game at all, like a home-based service business, like plumbers, lawyers, HVAC guys, medical offices like spas,
or
plastic
like smaller
surgery.
car dealerships. Would that make sense? Or is that something different?
It depends, because how people are going to be looking for a car. Yeah. So there's definitely some opportunity we've had there, but and real estate is another one that's like we've done some good work in, but it's also one that's hard. Like real estate, if they don't have like a very specific vision of who they service and who they work with, like, oh, I just buy and sell homes. Okay, that's it. Okay, we're gonna need okay, I buy and sell homes that are distressed properties that are short sales from the bank, and I take them flip cool. Or I sell luxury homes between 1 and 3 million in this specific area. Like if you have more of specific things, you always can work with it. So we work with a lot of different verticals and a lot of industries. What
is it about the multi-location things that make it pretty advantageous for you?
a lot of people, they don't leverage, again, like the URL structure, the tech, and just kind of how it's laid out. Like, so, and a lot of people they don't know how to leverage that, because you can have like one core website with like 200 locations and actually rank for every individual location, or like mobile based business as well. We do this with my brother's company, On-Site Detail. So for example, he's got 3 locations, but then he services, like, for example, up in Park City. So we built an entire strategy and page and built trust into that page to rank in like Park City, because again, there's like a lot of more higher end vehicles up there, right? So it's like a really good market for him. So if you search like Park City mobile detailing, his website shows up, and it's not his homepage, it's his actually location page that we built out, optimized, drove trust to, and actually made him relevant. Like, he's done a couple events up there. So it's really like a customized experience. And you kind of have to think, like, if somebody lands on your homepage or that Park City page and they're in Park City, what's going to be the better user experience? That Park City page should be the better user experience.
Yeah.
And so there's ways that you scale it through the tech, through the URL structure, how the folder structure is on the site, building trust. I call them deep links. A lot of times, like outreach, people will say, oh, we acquire links, and a lot of these brands will have like a really well-trusted links pointing into their homepage, but then you go look at their individual pages and there's like nothing built to them. And so now we, again, find strategies and create content around acquiring links and high quality outreach back to their page. And so that helps build that individual deep page link trust that kind of goes back. So, and then also for us, I worked at Entrada. And so you would get a property management company that has 300 apartments.
Yeah.
They'd give you 10 as a pilot. You do well, you'd show the results, and then they give you all 300. So from a revenue standpoint, it's great for us, but also just from like an ability to prove concept. And then you just have usually like a bigger budget with their revenue coming in at 300 properties, right? And it's just, you can scale all of it. Like the thing that I will say is the hardest thing is and that's why I said startup e-coms we found out are really hard, is when you don't have budget. Like, you get to the point sometimes where like, hey, I can't pay anymore. It's like, really? Because we've like 5x your traffic.
Yeah.
But they haven't quite gotten to that point where they have that consistent like cash flow, and like, with the economy, certain businesses are slowing down and stuff like that. So that's just one area that is really helpful. And like, some people don't even have like location pages, or they're just spun like this exact same copy on every location. So there's just a lot of opportunity to go in and be like, okay, let's break this down and put a strategy by location and kind of build out the whole process and just be very customized about it.
Can you explain SEO to like a third grader? Because in most of the businesses that I've been a part of, and it's all been in like health insurance, which is a pretty competitive keyword in general, because we've got United Healthcare that's bajillion dollars.
Right.
So it seems like SEO, when I'm asked, hey, how is our SEO? It's kind of including not just where we rank on a Google search, but are we on Google Ads? Does our website look nice? Like, I think in the average person's mind, SEO is this like black box of magic that makes no sense.
The basic way to describe it is through SEO, and what SEO is it's basically just helping your website rank higher on the Google SERPs, the search engine page, in the organic section. So that's literally all it is just helping your website become more relevant for the specific keywords that you rank for and moving it up. So and maybe you can add a visual, but if you pull up a Google SERP, you're going to have like the ads, right?
Yeah.
And then for local searches, you'll have the maps, like Google My Business Reviews, and then you'll have your organic below that. So SEO is helping you rank in that organic section. There's also parts of our SEO for local businesses that we can actually help rank you higher. Like if somebody were to search, like right now, I think if you search like SEO in Utah County, you'll see that our page is in the map section. We're not ranking in the organic section. We haven't even doubled down our own stuff yet, but we rank in the maps. And then you have the paid ads. So it's not paid ads. You're never going to rank through SEO in the paid ads, but it's essentially just doing that. And the 3 areas that I always talk about with SEO is the 3 areas I break down are technology, relevance, and trust. And so your technology is like your website, your internal link structure, URL structure, all of those things that is like your foundation. The relevance is like how good your content is, your copy, your video copy, like how you're actually formatting that and putting it on your website. A lot of people do video, don't even leverage on their website, but that's like your relevant. How relevant are you for that specific keyword search that somebody's searching for? And then the trust is your third factor, and there's a few components of that. A lot of the high quality links that kind of point to you from all over the internet. Like, if you wanted to, like we talked about, Eric is better than Michael Jordan, you better get some links all over the internet that say that and point back to your website that talk about why you're better, right? So that you can actually have some trust.
I'm not better than Michael Jordan. That's not a real thing.
This is information from his kids. So
yes. Yeah.
I believe it though. Sometimes you're pretty good. Breaking that down. And then the other part of trust is like your reviews, your reputation, right? That's really important. And then Google actually just added another ranking factor just now in December. It was called EAT, which is your expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. They added experience, just barely. So now it's EAT with 2 E's is part of the ranking factor. And really for me, I think the big thing, and we'll tangent, and this is a super long-winded answer to explaining SEO to a third grader, but getting into like AI and all of that. Think about when the internet first started, how many people came online that were faking it till they made it, and there was a lot. And a lot of people probably made a lot of money being able to do that. Now think of with AI, the theory of Alex is people are going to do that like tenfold. So now imagine,
I see, like even before AI, I think there's all these gurus who are have never done anything, but they make nice videos.
Well, imagine that times now 1,000,
10,000
10,000 with the ability to generate content. Like you can get like, you can tell an AI what to say and it creates a video for you. And actually like you have to like figure out, is that a human or is that AI? But now kind of with that thing, and that's why I think Google's adding that experience piece of it, because, if you talk about health insurance and you put a piece of content out, or I, as a marketer, create a piece about health insurance, Google's going to look at who's the author, what's the brand, and who's actually going to be the authority, the expert, who has the better eat on the topic. Yeah. Hands down, it's going to be you. Yeah. Your content's going to outrank mine like that because of all the stuff you've already been putting out online. The company that you work for has a reputation, right? Yeah. Versus if I just created, healthcareisfun.com and launch content, they're going to know that it's not legit. So that's just one
domain now.
Yeah. Go buy that domain and then resell it, keep it in your portfolio. Yeah. But,
and there was a question on Instagram about this a little bit as we're getting into that. And I kind of want to bundle this into one topic of, you mentioned how much SEO has changed, and even me on the outskirts have seen how it's changed over the last 10 years, but maybe you can take us through what it was, because it seemed like it was a lot easier to trick the system back in the day. And then now all the stuff that Google's doing, and then transitioning that into like ChatGPT and other AI softwares.
Like how it's changed or kind of where we're at today?
How has it changed, and then getting to where we're at today?
It's changed to go from, okay, so high level to explain it easy. I think when we first started the internet and the search engine started working, it was all about quantity. Like you could just flood the internet with as much as you could, and you were going to win.
Just make a bunch of articles, make a bunch of posts.
You could hide content behind images on a website. So you could, if you're trying to rank for, lawyer in Salt Lake City, you could have an image with lawyer in Salt Lake City pasted behind the image 100 times, and Google would crawl and make, oh, they're relevant. They say it 100 times on their page, and you would rank, and it would work. But now that's like you can't do that. You'll get penalized, right? Yeah. So just flooding low quality, just quantity, and then finding ways to almost like trick the search engine, like a lot of manipulation, a lot of things like that just wasn't good. Then you shifted with like Google's Penguin update and a lot of other things where they shifted to go away from like spam and this kind of garbage type of stuff. And we went to like really a good quality phase where it was all about quality and less about quantity. You still had to produce quantity, but it was all about quality.
How does it measure quality?
I mean, to that example of like hiding text behind an image, or like, for example, when we vet like an outreach site we want to get a link back to, we look at 17 metrics to determine if it's actually a website we want to link back from. Because like there are tons of websites out on the internet that literally just exist that are like part of a private blog network. Stay away from those. That's going to get you spammed. Like it's a spider web of spam is all it is, trying to get trust back. When I first started SEO, I did commenting on blog posts. Like I'd go to a random blog, ericsoderberg.com. I'd go there and be like, hey, cool article. Have you seen about monster.com? You should check it out.
Yeah.
And I'd get a link back to my client's website. But now Google, when they crawl your website, get a link to mine. And now there's like a link coming in, and that actually benefited you. So that was a huge quantity thing that like literally you could be writing about, basketball. And then I mention a drink. Like there's no relevancy. There's no helpful. Your users makes no sense.
Yeah. That's
like kind of the low quality stuff. So when it comes to quality, it's like topic relevance. It's again, like some of those metrics we look at when we're doing outreach. It's just looking at those types of things to make sure that it's of substance, it makes sense, and it's really for the user. And that's what I will say, like in the quality phase that we've been in, if you just like stop trying to like fake it or stop trying to manipulate it. Like if you just focus on your end user, and you've done a great job with your healthcare company, if you just focus on the end user and put out good stuff, you're going to win. And you're going to look at, and like you would be a perfect ideal person for us to like work with, in the sense that you already have content creating, you already have, a good marketing strategy, a good like video strategy. We might look at your stuff and say, hey, if we just tweaked a few things here and got some of the technical stuff fixed and this, and looked at site speed and some of these other things, that would actually, you could 5 or 10x what you're doing.
Yeah.
Versus if you go to somebody that's like literally a blank slate and they have nothing, we can still help you, and we have a whole team behind it. It just takes longer to build up momentum. So existing momentum and focusing on the user should be your end goal. And I think now we're shifting into a time just with the use of AI, never copy and paste Chat GPT. Number one, it still needs to be heavily edited. But like how we're leveraging, like we're testing different tones of voices.
Yeah.
It's really good at it. Like
I've never used it professionally. Like I've never taken anything, but I did jump in there and I like asked it a few things. It was amazing. Like it was like super cool. But yeah, like a detailed script, it didn't pull it. It can, but it wasn't exactly accurate. Yeah. But if I was like, give me 5 bullet points, it does a really good job of doing that.
Yeah. Or you could say, here's my unique selling proposition value that I think I want for this brand. Can you write me 100 different variations of this sentence?
Yeah.
Now you can like scan through that, like, wow, I can get, so like ad copy, we can get a lot of different variations and do a lot of A/B testing a lot quicker, because now we're not having to think about the different variations. We can leverage that. Or like when you're creating, SEO content briefs, like so we're not actually saying, write me an article on this. It might be, this section needs to be about this section needs to be about this. Can you give me a headline if we're talking about this topic, a headline if we're talking about this topic? And now you can create like a brief a lot faster than you could, just by doing it based on like our human brain.
Yeah.
Right. But then you still have to have a human write a lot of the copy or edit it and then produce it and get it to a point where it's like a high quality. And then also you need to have somebody that actually understands the topic, whether it's your client or somebody on your team that is that expert that can actually verify that it's truth. Because ChatGPT, I don't know if you've tested it, but it literally like says things like, if you've seen the Ben Shapiro example, it's hilarious.
I haven't seen
How tall is Ben Shapiro? 5'7". He's like, that's not true. Where did you get that source? Oh, we got it off Wikipedia. No, you didn't. I just looked at the Wikipedia. He's like, oh, we got it off your website. No, you didn't. It's not on my website. Okay, Ben Shapiro's 5'10". Like, so ChatGPT just lied the whole time. Like, and it's pulling from a database of it, but it's like, that's where people need to not take it as absolute truth right now, is where it's at, but it still can be leveraged. And so I think we're moving into that space of quality, but now you have to be quantity as well. Like Alex Hormozy, like his strategies, right? He always talks about, like I've been watching a recent podcast where he talked about when he first started business, one of the guys was like, oh, just put out flyers. He's like, okay, cool. He went out and put out 300 flyers, and he's like, the guy's like, hey, followed up on him a little bit later. How did it go? I got like one phone call. The guy said I damaged his car, but I didn't really get any phone calls. The guy's like, how many flyers did you put out? 300. He's like, and the guy like kind of laughed. He's like, we put out 5,000 as a test, And then once that test proves like fruitful, we then do 5,000 a day for the entire month.
Wow.
So he's like, okay, I put out 300 and they're putting out 5,000 a day times the whole month. You're going to get results, right? And so I think we're moving into that but you can't just put out garbage because Google has all these things, all these user behaviors. You have to put out for your user, who you're actually targeting, high quality stuff. But now I think there is going to be more of a push towards like getting it out quickly in quantity. Shouldn't stress you out. It's just a way that my brain thinks about it, is like, you can't just put out one piece a week or one a month. Like you got to start producing. And the more you produce, the more you put out there, it'll start to kind of come back tenfold.
Yeah, that's wild. That's a lot of pressure on businesses though, right? Because like we make videos. Like that's what I do personally, is I make a lot of YouTube videos and other content on our site. And it takes a lot of time, and it takes like kind of sucks energy out of you after a while. Yeah. So to be like, oh, okay, you got to do more.
Yeah. Well, and to that point too, that on that same podcast with him, he talked about, he had a client that he's like, so Alex every 14 days has a day of full content, right? Mm-hmm. And he does a ton of video. And so he brings, so he told the guy, hey, you need to like stop every 14 days and create content for like your ads and for your organic reach on social and all that. And I followed up with him, same principle, but he's like, oh, it went great. We did 4 videos that we're going to do on ads. And he's like, 4? Like, what are you doing? He's like, I do 40 when I do my day. He's like, I bring 5 t-shirts, I switch out, and I do 40 on that day of content. So again, the other thing I like about his stuff too is he focuses less on all the beautiful visuals and everything, and he focuses on the quality of his message and what he's like, the value he's adding. And that's the right way to approach SEO and really any marketing online, is if you're focusing on your end user, focusing on the quality, you're going to win. But that's where like why we have careers and why we have jobs is like, you can do it with a really sound technical base and it will tenfold. But if you have it like on the wrong platform or structured the wrong way or buried deep within your site and nobody can find it or the bots can't find it, you could have the best content and it's invisible to the masses. And so there's a lot of parts to it. And that's why I kind of struggle explaining it to a third grader. Because there's so many moving parts to it. But again, this is where I will say, as a business owner, be a business owner. Like, run your team, run your process. But like, we can do a lot of the technical stuff that has taken me a decade plus to learn. Like that's why we have a company, is because it does get technical. It does get very robust. Like, you can get into like traps, like where you work with maybe somebody that doesn't really care as much, and you're like, they buy or purchase 300 links from a PBN, and now your site gets hit with it. And then we come in a year later and we're like, oh my gosh, what happened here? We now have to do we have to clean it all up as best we can, keep seeing remove all these bad negative things, and then restart, right? Yeah. So you have to really vet it out and find the right company, the right partnership. That's one of the things that we do. So our purpose is human happiness. Mm-hmm. Really, at the end of the day, is we're looking for win-win scenarios and that we truly care. Like, and it sounds dumb, but like, that's literally the difference between us and a lot of marketing companies, is we truly care and we're really looking for that win-win for everybody. Yeah. Like, if I can help you double your traffic and double your revenue, like, you're going to start to win more. Yeah. You'll probably get a raise. Your family's going to benefit from that. Yeah. If you're winning, I'm going to win. My family's going to win. We all can win. And that's kind of what we're looking for. That's a human happiness message. So to that point, one of our guarantees that we do, because there are a lot of people in this space that claim they know a lot of different things, and bless their heart, maybe they have good intentions. Sure, I can give them the benefit of the doubt, right? But we do, it's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Like, you can partner with us, work with us for 29 days, and if you absolutely feel like we did not do what we said we are going to do up front, then you get your money back. Like, and yeah, it's scary for me as a business owner because I have hard costs on all of that, right? And I could literally just lose tons of money. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, I've not had one person actually redeem that, because we do what we say we're going to do. We follow up, we do the strategy, all of that. And it's just to give somebody that peace of mind. Like, we very often work with people that have worked with 2, 3, 4 other marketing companies that they were not happy with. Yeah. And then we start working with them, right? So,
Well, it's interesting because I mean, I get hit up with that all the time, whether that's LinkedIn or just spam email about, hey, we're an SEO company. We can help you. We can do all this stuff. And so one of them I actually like, I wonder where this is going because I just had a conversation with you actually about this was a couple of years ago. And so I listened to the guy and he shows me exactly what you've talked about. He's like, we've got this site, check it out. And at the very bottom in the footer, there were like hundreds of links, just hundreds of just random links. He's like, see, so these would all point back to your website. And it seemed like super shady to me. It just seemed a little bit different. And I didn't understand it. And so I don't know. I think those companies are out there all the time. And everyone that I've talked to that's interacted with you, and every time I've interacted with you, that's what I've been like, not surprised by, but I've liked that aspect of it. It's not like some shady thing that you're going to do. Here's the principles. Here's how it works. And here's what we're going to do to get that.
And we haven't been perfect. Like, I'll be the first one to say it. Like, I'm even thinking of a client we've been working with. We kind of dropped the ball for like almost like 2 or 3 months. And he's like, hey, this isn't really working. And I dove in. I was like, oh my gosh. And this was like a year ago. And I was like, I can't justify what you paid us the last 3 months. And I was like, so we had a call, business owner to business owner. And I was like, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do 6 months of free SEO. On top of that, we'll do three months of paid ads for free. He had to pay for the ads when we did all our management fee. And luckily he gave us that second chance because, we just missed him. We missed adding him to our system that would populate a lot of the tasks. And then I think our team just missed stuff. Ultimately, that comes back to me if my team is missing stuff. But we ended up doing that. And we've been doing it for, I think 6 months now we're into it, or 9 months. Anyway, so he's actually started paying us again. In that free, we got him like a $40,000 like contract value, and then another like $23,000 contract with our paid ads, and then I think another $16,000 one. And so again, he gave us a second chance. We made it right, and I'll always make it right. Like if we, for some reason, drop the ball, which the cool thing is, as you grow a business, it starts happening a lot less and a lot less.
Yeah.
But as in the growing and scaling phase, you're always going to not be perfect. But I think the core thing about just being a high value person and falling back on your company values is you have to live them from the top down. Like if you drop the ball, and I've had other people where they didn't want to work with us after we dropped the ball, and we gave the money back for the months that we fell short, right?
Yeah.
And so it works out that way.
It just sounds like you're treating people like they should be treated, right?
Yeah, it's a crazy concept. It's like I said, the whole purpose of what we're doing is the human happiness thing. Like I truly try to do all I can. And sure, we'll still have, in business, you still have disagreements with people, and you still try to figure out how you can make it work. And it's anything, any relationship. You just have to be adults and talk about it. And hopefully you can get to the point. There's been very few times where I've been able to actually like not get on the same page or not feel like we're both exactly where we need to be, right?
Yeah.
And in those situations, if I know deep down inside that I did all I can do and it's just still not going to make such person happy or whatever, then I can't worry about it. Like I tried all I can do and we can just move forward, so.
Let's talk money with SEO stuff. Like as a company, what is a decent budget? And again, I know it depends on the goals and stuff, but if I go in, company I worked for was like, we're going to spend $500 a month on SEO. And basically the company said, okay, we'll write you a blog article every month. And that's kind of all it was. And there was no measurable statistic that any way that made us better.
I would run from that stuff. So for us, and we implement like a customized 90-day plan, like the first 7 to 10 days of working with you. So you have like full transparency into what we plan to do. And this is all based on your goals too. So like for a local business, our minimum for SEO is like $1,500 a month. And the reason that's like the sweet spot to start with, because anything less than that, you still can get results sometimes, but it's just going to take way too long, like maybe even like 9 months, a year at anything less than that to like start to see some fruit.
Well, that's what ours was. They're like, you were on page 12 and now you're on page 11 and a half. And it was like,
see, and that doesn't matter because you need to be on page 1 or it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I get looking at KPIs. So like for local, like if you have a local audience, like a local lawyer or medical office or whatever, like $1,500 a month is our starting. If you're going like more national, like, so if you have like, because healthcare, I don't know if are you guys like all over the US? So national, you're probably looking at like starting like more like $3,000 a month, like to really start to like move the needle. But in certain situations, like if you're saying, hey, we just want to focus on Utah, Idaho, and Nevada,
Yeah.
then if that's the campaign we're working on, there's still going to be global changes that we make on your site, like site speed and some other things that are going to benefit everyone. But like our content strategy might just be focused on those 3 regions, right? That
And what does that $1,500, just we'll talk local one now, but what does the $1,500 get? Like, what does that entail?
So again, everything is based on that 90-day plan, so it's customized. But usually when you start, you'll like the first 7 to 10 days, we'll put together that 90-day strategy. We'll do in-depth keyword research so that we'll understand like what we're targeting. And then once we have another, like our second meeting, we'll go into like the keyword mapping and actually take those keywords and group them to specific pages. So now every page on your website now has a target, as where a lot of strategies are like, bowl of spaghetti. Oh, okay. Did it stick? Right. And so we alleviate that because we want to take a sniper rifle and do it for every single page. So we break it down that way. And then from there, depending on the need of the business, let's say there hasn't been a lot of trust built or other things like that, we might then like move into outreach or things like that. So, I mean, high level, the easiest way to explain it, because the easiest way to explain it is because we are customized, is it does come back to hours worked. And so our average is around like $150, $200 an hour.
Yeah.
And so like if our senior developer has to go in and like rebuild parts of your website, obviously a senior developer is going to cost more than if it's an intern doing something else. But like we have an internal system. We actually use Harvest. It's the time tracker, and everyone's rate is different, right? So like if there are some things like that an intern can set up or get started or create different sheets or different things like that we're starting in our strategy. If they're doing that, then obviously you're going to get more work done or more. It's not going to like everyone's hourly rate is not 200, right?
Yeah,
so it works in our system, and that's kind of the best way to explain it.
I really like how you said the sniper rifle, and you mentioned it on the real estate thing too. Of like I buy and sell real estate, and I think that this is what hopefully people can understand with SEO is that if you're in a space, take real estate, and you're like, oh, I want to rank with people looking to buy and sell homes. It's like that's going to be really expensive, really competitive, and it might take some time. But if you can hone in on I do distressed properties or I do foreclosed properties in Draper, like the more honed in on that keyword that you get, then I think the more successful you're able to take that keyword and do something with it.
Yeah, the best partnerships that we have are the business owner or the marketing team of that business that are very dialed in on what they want and they have a vision for what they want. Like we incorporate, and why we do more of a customized strategies, we want to know who Eric is, what Eric's goals are, what your company goals are, and what maybe areas you make. If you got more leads in a specific service, you tend to make more margin. Cool. We want to double down on that, right?
Yeah.
And so if you know what you want and what you need help with, but you don't know how to get there, and you're going to be actively involved with us, that's great. We still have a whole team that can do all the fulfillment. So we're not partnering with you and making more of a workload for you.
Yeah.
But we still need your vision for your company. And so the ones that we struggle with are the ones that it's like,
I want more sales.
Well, it's just like, hey, we've created 10 pieces of copy based on our initial conversations. Can you approve them? And then it just, hey, happens. Can we approve? Like we get stuck in this spot, and it is harder, right? And so as a business owner, I'm the biggest bottleneck in my company. That's why I remove myself out of a lot of processes and systems. And even getting on the podcast, you had to hunt me down for a while, right? So it is what it is. But yeah, the ones that are kind of actively involved, that are wanting to like understand what we're doing and what's happening, and I don't need them to spend extra time, but those are the partnerships where we understand, and then we can get to that sniper rifle approach, right? And the other big thing too is every person, and this is something that I offer right now is we do a like free consultation discovery call. Like you can go to my LinkedIn right now and book it. You can go to our website, and a lot of the call to actions are booking that call with me. We can chat for a half an hour. I can learn about your business. And even if you are a brand new e-com business, like, dude, I will talk with you for a half an hour and give you a whole roadmap of stuff that you can implement on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll say, come back to me in 3 months or 6 months and we'll see where you're at. Like, and the biggest thing on those discovery calls is, again, get to know the person, get to know their business and their goals. And then one of the things that I've always kind of based my entire model on is at that point, then with my decade plus of experience, I step back, holistically look at the whole picture, and then recommend either we can help you here, we can help you here, or hey, you're too early. Or, you know, a lot of times too, it's like, hey, SEO sounds like SEO would be a great fit for you, but before you spend $1 on SEO, your website is so bad.
Yeah.
We need to rebuild your website, and then we can start SEO in 3 months. As a business, for me, it doesn't make as much sense because I'm not collecting that reoccurring revenue up front. But to that business owner, that's what they need. They need that foundation first so that when we actually invest into the dollars, it will compound way faster than if you stayed on that original tech. And that was one thing I picked at previous companies I worked at is, you know, when I was like a director or an SEO fulfillment strategist, it's like we'd get a new client, new partner, and be like, dude, their website's horrible. I can't do a lot with it. And it's like, we'll just do that for a couple months and then we'll talk about a new website. I'm like, what? Like, it's just backwards. So that's one of the things. So like, you know, a lot of times, you know, depending on your budget or if you have budget, doing SEO and paid is great. They like work together. We can actually get data from the paid side, especially on like Google ads of keywords that are converting, and we can double down on ranking those organic. And so now you have more real estate on the first page for, we know that a keyword that is driving high quality leads. Yeah. Right. But if you don't have the budget and maybe you only have 3 months of budget and you need to start selling to keep the business running, I'm not going to tell you to do SEO. Yeah. Do paid ads. Like let's rent our traffic as best we can, pull it in and start converting as fast as possible. I also talk with other business owners like, I don't have the back end infrastructure that if we got too many leads, we would break. Yeah. Okay, cool. Then SEO might be a great route because it is that over time sustained growth. It's compounding month over month. Yeah. Right. And so it just depends on where you're at.
I think this is so cool. And there was a job that I was interviewing for several years back. And so you talk about that consultation thing. And I reached out to you. I don't know if you remember this, but I reached out to you. I was like, hey, I'm going into this job. One of the areas that they wanted to focus on for this role was SEO. And that's not my deal, right? As I mentioned, I'm in different marketing spheres. And so I reached out to you and you kind of did that holistic, just real quick. Here's what I see. Here are the keywords that would be good. Take it and run with it. And I think that in my current job too, doing that, so giving them that 30-minute consultation that doesn't cost anything, what we've noticed, and we actually get paid in a different way, but we've noticed that people see like, okay, I know how to do everything now, but there is no way I want to do everything right now, right? It almost like becomes overwhelming once they see everything that has to go into that it makes it even better for you that they can, I mean, you outline like, here's what you need to do, but can you do that?
Yeah. And that's one piece of it. The other one is just like, be a good person, dude. Just like, it's like karma. I believe in like karma is real. Like if it's too early or they don't have the money, like I will tell them you're too early. Yeah. Or, hey, or a lot of times after that call, I'll be like, I don't even necessarily know what the best direction is right now. I'm going to go do a further website analysis. I think that's what I did with you to find specific points that you can now implement on your side. And great, if you take it and run with it, cool. I'm sure by me helping you out, more stuff came my way. Yeah. Cool. No. Right. And that's just how it is. As I continue to grow and keep doing new things, I'm sure my time is going to be less, but that's where like, maybe you don't have a direct call with me, but like that's one thing I'm focused on right now in Q1 and Q2 is building out our internal sales system to where like I could technically remove myself from my business for 3 months and it would still grow. Yeah. That was one of the things that I went to, I'm part of a coaching group called Arte with Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. And dude, I mean, when you talk about scaling a business, and Ed Milet's almost a billionaire, is one. Andy Frisella is running First Form, which is who knows how many hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Like that's the place to be. Yeah. But I remember sitting in like there was like 4 of us and talking in a circle with Andy, and I was like, hey, I have some of these ideas and some of this stuff, and and I was like NFTs and the timing and all this, and he's like, can your core business continue to grow without you for 3 months? And I was like, No, there's no chance. We can sustain it because the cool thing is my team right now that's behind me is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like my director of SEO, I would say that he could probably challenge me and beat me on SEO stuff, which is so cool. I've never had that in my company when I first started the first couple of years. But that's one of the things that we're really focused on is getting to the spot where I can technically remove myself when we still grow. And then now I have a real business, right? Yeah. You don't just own a job or some of these things. So anyway, it's just cool and be a good person, provide value and be grateful. Like that's really what it all comes down to. Like you don't need to overthink all these things and be like, well, I'm going to spend a half an hour of my time. Eric owes me $500 because that's what I'm worth. Like, yes, I get there's that part of business. You can't let people take advantage of you and certain things like that. But, you know, I'm always happy to chat. That's why where we're at right now, it's just like, if you have questions, if you have anything, like hit me up, I'll DM you back. I'll take my time to go over anything and give you pointers. And if it's not the right time or you don't need help or whatever, then it's all going to come back and it's cool, you know?
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. One, because I think it falls right in line with what you've experienced now as our kind of vision of man games, right? Ours is phrased a little different. It's don't be an ass, but it's basically like be a good person and connecting with guys. In this instance, it's healthy male bonding in a way and helping each other out any way that we can. And so you've been a sponsor the 2 times you've been, in 100,000 thank yous to you. I mean, that's awesome. And it's great having you there and helping people understand what you do there, because we do have business owners in there, and it may not be today that they reach out, but as long as they can see this and be familiar with you and know what you do, I think that there's a lot of opportunity for you to help people. And that's why I love having you there. So
yeah. And it's cool too, because it's a situation where you're learning who the other men in the room are, like their core values and what they stand for before you even talk business, right? Yeah. And that's the right approach to business. Yeah. Like you shouldn't just go into it and being like, okay, I know Eric, he's a good guy, and okay, but how do I get into his wallet? Like that's not how anyone.
There's not a lot there. So.
Yeah, right. But that's not how people should operate, right? It's just cool. It just gets us together. We're bonding, and then the competition part of man games is what I love. Like I remember one of the putts I was doing, and it's like
in the highlight video.
It might have been that one or that one. I think that one I was actually frustrated because I've been doing pretty bad that whole day, but. It's just like, it's like everyone took a putt and you're the last one. It's like, you got to make this. And yes, it's like a 4-foot putt and I should make this. But like, if I don't do it, then we get an extra stroke. Yeah. And, you know, you feel that pressure. Yeah. And it's like I did do some college sports and stuff. But like really where like I had pressure moments was like high school, right? Mm-hmm. And I still remember like one of the field goals that I kicked in Northridge, I think, to get to the next round of the playoffs. It was a tie game. And I still remember that whole moment, like standing up to kick the ball. And I was like, they call a timeout. I'm like, you guys can't ice me. Whatever. And to that point, Dameron, I remember, like, you know, Kenneth, like right before the kick or whatever, he's like, don't get up, Blaisdell. And I was like, thanks, dude. You know, and it's just like, but I'm like, I'm good. Like I was confident. I'm like, I got this. Timeout, ice me, timeout, I didn't feel anything. And then when I was lined up and I'm like, holy crap. They don't have any more timeouts. I'm kicking the ball right now, like and my legs started shaking a little bit. You feel that nervous, kicked in, luckily I think I only made it by a few feet, but it was that same type of thing, like, oh my gosh, my whole entire team has putted and missed. Yeah. I have to make this. And I loved that. Like that's kind of like you talked about, like getting that like pressure of like
some people hate it. Some people hate that feeling. I love that feeling.
I feed on it and I love it. Even like with business, I love it too. Like where it's like, oh man, wow, I have been operating really fat, or we have a lot of expenses. Like I better go get some stuff done. And your back's against the wall. And you can curl up on the ball, which, you know, as a business owner, you do sometimes. You curl in the fetal position, but you can only be there for a few minutes and you have to get up. And so I really feed on that like feeling. And so that man games, like more than once I've had that feeling where it's like, I got to do this. And then eventually after like the first and second day, you're in like 5th place and the pressure goes away and all the other superior athletes are above you.
I
But
think that pressure, though, it does a couple of things. One, when you succeed, it feels great. Like I delivered when people counted on me or when I was really hoping that for myself that I would pull through. But then you fail. Like I've had so many times that I've failed. And I think that really illuminates, okay, when pressure's on, where am I weak? You may be able to hide your weaknesses if you're just playing rec ball or if you're doing stuff that doesn't really matter to you. But when pressure's on in sports especially, but then also in business, you mentioned how you kind of dropped the ball with that one client. It kind of reveals things where, okay, now I know that I need to work on this, and now it's fixed. That weakness can become a strength that you wouldn't have found if you weren't put in that really difficult position. And I try to do that with my kids, right? My daughter wanted help with math, and so she's like, I don't get this question. I was like, well, read it to me. And so she wanted me to give her the answer. I was like, I'm never going to give you the answer, but I'll kind of ask questions to help you see it because that's how she's going to be able to grow. And I don't know. I think that's kind of the fun part about pressure.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like that's when you do, like you never, and to your point, I don't think you actually ever fail, right?
I have a short memory, so I don't remember. I'm sure that theoretically.
But how you said it, you fail, you learn from it.
Yeah,
you learn where you can get better. So you look at any failure as, okay, sweet, where can I get better? What can I do? And you kind of move past it. But yeah, like that is the fun part about man games is it's like, I got to get this, I got to do this. And it's a cool aspect. And a lot of us too, because, you know, when you start having a family and start getting into your career, like you lose that competitive edge, which, dude, that's like, I look back at high school, not my best days, I guess, as far as like, I wish I was there again.
Yeah.
But sports wise, I look back on the sports all the time. Like, dude, that was so fun that we got to do this, or like going back and like, dude, I always go back to this story. I scored the own goal in the state championship game as a sophomore. And like, dude, I still remember that was a situation, and like, that was always my pocket talk that I would always have. But the cool thing with that, because I still remember, like, I can go back there right now and hear the crowd, and I just kicked it in my, like, I didn't kick it, but I kicked it. It spun off my foot. Travis was coming out. It like popped over his head and it rolled in the goal like so slow. And I still remember the crowd and just like that pit and just, oh my gosh. And the cool thing that I always like with that story is my team rallied behind me. Nobody gave me crap for it. Like nobody said like, dude, you just lost us a championship, whatever. Like we were down 1-0 at halftime because of my mistake. My coach didn't even talk to me and say like, hey, you need to play better or do this or you're coming out. Yeah. Like just full confidence, whatever. We ended up winning 2-1. I didn't have to transfer schools or anything, but like
in other countries, you'd be killed.
I know. So luckily we won, everything worked out, but it was just that moment. Like, and I had a shaky kind of moment right after that too. Cause I was like in my head about it and I was like, okay, just after halftime reset. And I feel like I came out and played good in the second half, but you know, it's those moments in man games too. Like golfing, especially, like, the first 9 holes, I think I was pretty horrible last time we played. And I was frustrated because I had been practicing golf. But the back 9, I came in and like we got an eagle on, I can't remember what hole it was, but I did the first 2 shots. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I got it on the green in 2 shots on a par 5, which was really cool for me. And that felt so good. That was like, sweet. The last 6 months of playing golf paid off in that one hole. And like, it was cool. And then there's other times where like, you know, I miss and I can count on Snar or Bobby or Cody. And like, it's really fun.
I really love that story though, because from the first man games that you came to, golf was the event and you played a little bit before, I think, just to try and figure it out. Yeah. And then you played. And then after you're like, I'm going to get good at golf. And then, so for that 6 month time, like I'm seeing all your posts, like I'm going to get better at golf. And you did. Like, that's a really cool.
Yeah, and I'm still, I think the best I've ever shot on 9 holes was a 44, which was way better. Like I was probably shooting a 120 on average, and then I don't think I've shot below a 90 yet.
You'll get there.
I love it, and even like basketball, it's like, you know, I know my role in basketball because I don't play. I'm athletic to go grab a rebound and play defense, but like that's why like when we played, you know, in our game and in man games and stuff. Bobby shoot, Snar shoot. Yeah, I know my role. I'll play defense. I'll hustle and I'll get the rebound and give it to my scorers. You know, because I haven't shot consistently as we're back in high school and stuff, I feel like I could actually play and score, and that's what I did in all our like rec leagues and stuff like that. But
no, I love having
fun.
you there, man. I love having you there at Man Games. Spring's coming up. I don't know if you're planning on it or not, but
yeah, we need it. I don't think we've talked about it. I haven't really reached out to anybody. I've just been
in your world.
Yep.
End of April, 28th and 29th. So I think we're going to cap it at 16 teams.
How many do we got signed up so far?
We had 9 teams sign up in the first like 14 hours. So we're at like 9 teams right now, but then there are several that are saying that they want to come in and they're just getting their team together.
All right.
So.
Well, if you're listening, you better get signed up because everyone's going to join after this. So
okay, I want to shift a little bit to kind of like goofy random stuff, and we'll get back into deep stuff if you're cool with that. These came through Instagram. Most of them should be pretty quick, I think. Do you believe in magic?
100%. And you might think that's goofy, but like I took that as like manifesting and meditation and actually like dictating the world around you to get the results you want. Yeah. And to me, that is magic. And I've gone over a huge growth period the last year when it comes to all that. And I still catch myself being, man, this is crazy, or that's wild. But really, it's not. Yeah. It's not crazy. It's not wild. Like literally, I vision that for my life and for the things that now it's happening. And so, yeah, to me, that is magic. Perfect. When it comes out, that's the first thing that came to my mind. So yes, I do believe in magic.
Because the first time that came to mind was like pulling a coin out of the air or something. Yeah. So I'm glad that you took it in a much better way. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Mint chocolate chip. That's easy.
Is cereal a soup?
No. There's no.
What is the sexiest letter in the alphabet?
Sexiest letter in the alphabet. I'm gonna go with a B.
Okay.
Start my last name, and we'll just leave it at that. Okay. I guess.
It's so Jared Taylor Dance, who was at Man Games. We just talked about this. We went to lunch this last week, and so he was coaching the kids in baseball, and he was like the 3 Bs. And so he was like ball, base, backup. I was like, man, your 3 Bs are way different than my 3 Bs. So I've ruined the 3 Bs for him, but B is a great letter.
Yeah.
Strangest fact that you know that others don't.
Strangest fact.
Those are always tough to come up with quickly.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can come back to that one. Maybe I'll not force it. I'll let it flow in. If it happens, we'll come back to it.
What mythical creature would improve the world most if it existed?
I'm going to go. So again, I've been getting into like a lot of like your spirit animals and stuff. Yeah. And my wife, her spirit animal is like a phoenix. And my wife's just powerful and amazing. So that's the first thing that came to my head is if there was more of her type in the phoenix, the mythical creature, the phoenix, that could improve.
I like it. A lot. What's the weirdest thing you've seen in someone else's home? Please don't say my home right now.
No, now I'm looking around like, what is it? Yeah, I don't know what PG is this.
Oh, it's whatever you want it to be.
I remember seeing a really big dildo one time at someone's home that I had no idea that you'd ever peg for being into that kinky stuff in the bedroom. Maybe make sure you put it away in your drawers if you do have one.
Yeah. What sport would be the funniest to add a mandatory amount of alcohol to?
Golf. I love the golf videos. If you've seen like Bob Does Sports, they're freaking hilarious. Like they do the hot wing challenge. We should incorporate that into Man Games at some way. That actually be fun. But then they do the ones where they have to take a shot or beer like every hole. I watch those whole videos. They're hilarious because you can't play golf when you get past a certain point. Yeah. But also, maybe it actually takes the edge off a little bit and you play better.
There are several people I know where there's like the in between where you're buzzed but you're not hammered, where they play better because they're loosened up and they aren't focused so much on all the stuff. I have thought about doing an eating contest at Man Games. It makes me a little bit nervous.
So context that I've won 2 eating contests in my life.
In what? Like what were you eating?
Hot dogs.
Okay.
And an eggnog challenge.
Oh, God.
Both were at Entrada. So I actually tied the eggnog or the hot dog challenge with the guy that had won the last 4 years in a row.
Nice. And was it the Joey Chestnut guy? Oh, no, it was the Entrada one.
It is an employee. Okay, so I can't remember what time frame it was, but I ate like 13 hot dogs in like 5 minutes or something
Jeez.
like that. And it was like full bun, and they were like J-Dog styles. They were big. And dude, after that, like it felt good to win. I think I won like $300, but I got so sick. I got a massive headache. I like couldn't like work anymore, and I had to go home. And then the eggnog one, that one was pretty. It was a gallon challenge of eggnog.
Jeez.
And because you can barely drink milk, eggnog's worse. But so the rule was you had to drink as much as you can of a gallon, and then you had to it was like 30 minutes or something, and then you had to hold it down for 5 minutes without throwing up, and then you were the winner. So we had a lot of people drink too fast and throw up.
Yeah.
And so, and I know other people, like other companies and stuff I've heard where people are hospitalized with eggnog. So I'd be very careful with that. But anyway, like I ended up drinking 3/4 a gallon of eggnog in the time. And the next guy, it was me and another guy that didn't throw up. And he only drank like half a gallon. And then it was a 5-minute countdown. And it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's like, you won. I'm like, yeah. Like a hose, dude. And so, and then that one, yeah, I couldn't drink eggnog for like 3 years.
Are you the same way with hot dogs?
No, I was fine with that. Yeah. But the hot dogs one, I got way more like pounding headache, like laying on the floor, like miserable. Yeah. Because I didn't throw it up. Yeah. I like actually had to process all of it, and anyway. So it would be fun for sure, but you'd have to like, it would for sure have to be like end of a day, maybe like to wrap up.
The end of man games.
You couldn't do athletic events after it potentially. Like you might be knocked out, you know?
That's what I was thinking. Like if I got 4 pizzas for each team, and so each player has a pizza theoretically, and then there was a time limit of who could finish the pizzas the fastest.
And maybe that's where it is. It wouldn't be, you wouldn't eat like more than, and you'd get sick. It might just be like a speed eating contest. Yeah. That could be fun.
Yeah. Because like hot dogs. So I remember when I was a kid, I was at my cousin's house, and he had cold hot dogs in the fridge. And so I was like, he had eaten cold hot dogs. I was like, oh, sweet, I can eat cold hot dogs. And so I ate like 3 cold hot dogs. Then I can't eat hot dogs after that. It like ruined it for me. Because after the third one, I don't know if we had a dare or something, but the third one I'm like forcing down. I was like, oh, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I think a speed one would work. Not like one where, and you'd have to do a time limit enough so somebody wouldn't like get sick after it. But that would be fun because like the hot dogs, I remember, and it's like, you know how when you come across a situation, your brain like finds that one memory you watched a video one time, and it's like, so I started dipping my buns in water, and so I'm like, oh, like like I know what I'm doing, and actually I'm doing it the right way. But that could be a fun one. So,
do you think that's your proudest moment?
That was my highest earnings of petty cash in a year, and it was I think that year I won both my fantasy football leagues, which I don't even know if I've won since. And then I won 2. I made like $1,300 in just like those few competitions. So I was pretty proud that year, and that was early on in my life. So it was pretty cool.
That's a sweet story. If you were arrested and you called a friend or family member, what would they assume you did before you told them?
I'm trying to think. The first person that I knew that I would call would probably be Chad. Yeah, I would call. Chad wouldn't even care what I did. He would. Yeah, Chad would be the person that's like, "Hey, dude, I need to go hurt somebody that hurt my family." He'd be like, "When are we going?" You know?
Is that what he would assume would happen if you just call Chad? Maybe. I'm in prison right now. I did something, but you got to guess what it was.
Maybe with Chad. So I did hit Chad with a vehicle back in the day. So maybe he thinks that it was like a hit and run or something. But we'll go with a hit and run.
Perfect. If you went back 400 years without anything on you, how would you prove that you were from the future?
Man, these are deep questions. That you have to
we're like 1623.
I can't think of anything that would maybe immediately prove anything unless I'd be wearing something some technology like my watch that didn't exist. The long-term play would be, I guess, just show them and like dominate in business. And how did you come with all these ideas? Well, they already happened. I just knew all these things. Like that's the thing.
I think you were a wizard or something. You'd probably get like burned. That's what would be so hard about 400 years ago. Is they just thought anything was crazy. All right, a couple more goofy ones, then we'll get back into the real stuff. Would you rather lose your memory So you couldn't remember the past. You could just remember from today forward, or lose your legs forever.
Wow, that's a good one. Man, I think you'd have to choose your legs because, like, your memories.
It's who you are.
That's your identity. That's
Yeah.
your relationship with your. Like, I'd rather have the same relation with my wife and my kids and have no legs than not know who they are.
Yeah.
Like, that's easy if I put it in that concept,
Yeah.
that context.
How how well do you know Eric? The audience would like you to prove it. On a cold winter's eve, when Eric rushes outside to the music coming from an ice cream truck, what ice cream does he order? And does he pay an exact change or tip?
I would see you would pay a tip. The ice cream that you would choose, I could see, and this is a summer day, obviously.
I would hope so.
So
it says on a cold winter's eve, so
maybe
this
not
person
then.
already doesn't know me well because I am not getting ice cream in the winter. So we're going to change this to summer.
The one I keep thinking of is the like the 4th of July one, like the long,
The red, white, and blue thing.
yeah.
All right.
Is that I don't.
I
know,
haven't been to an ice cream truck in probably 30 years, so I have no idea what flavors there are. But that's
maybe you go for like the Superman ones that have the gumball in it.
Ooh,
Do you remember
that would
those
be
ones?
good. Yeah,
those ones were
that'd
pretty
be solid.
legit, so
that doesn't. So maybe you could share like how we know each other.
yeah. So me and Eric knew each other in high school. The thing is, just like kind of we're in different marketing industries, we were in different sports.
Yeah.
You know, so sophomore year, we both played football.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you were actually our sophomore quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, I was also doing like full-time club soccer. So I think I didn't play anything else other than kick and punt, if I remember. I can't really remember. Because my senior year, then that's when I started playing corner and safety.
Yeah.
So we were always like knew of each other and were friendly and friends and stuff. But you always had like some other friends from other high schools. So did I, but it's like they were different high schools because you were connected to Hillcrest.
Yeah.
And I hung out with like more like Alta or Brighton kids. But yeah, so we just knew each other from high school and from sports. And I always just had I always liked you.
Yeah.
Hopefully you always liked me.
No, it was always kind of like to your point, I think of like one of those circle diagrams, right? That kind of overlap in a little bit. And so we had those sports that interlapped, but like our friend circles were similar, but different. And so, it wasn't like a lot of time spent, I don't think, in high school.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten to know you way more because of Man Games.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing too, is we've been connected since high school, but now we've finally gotten to know each other more on a personal level because of Man Games. So it's cool.
No, I dig it. When picking your Man Games team, do you go for brains over beauty? Meaning, would you rather have partners with more athleticism or smarts, and why?
I think historically, I mean, I didn't really even pick our teams. We just kind of like naturally formed. I think I more have got invited into our teams.
Yeah.
But going forward, I would tend to like, if I were picking a team to try to win, it would be athletic because there's a lot more athletic stuff. I feel like, although maybe that could be something that you look at is maybe add more of the brain stuff in there.
Yeah. We got trivia coming up in spring.
So the trip that was funny because that was the part of Man Games that completely shifted, right? The teams that were maybe on the bottom totem pole of the athletics like whooped everyone at the brains.
Yeah.
So
those buzzers, timing on those buzzers is important.
That was hard. Is it the same buzzers?
Yeah.
Maybe got to get a new tech or something.
Well, and somebody brought this up too. I think it was John who was saying like we could do. Who was it? John. Somebody said like let's give him the ACT. I was like, oh, that would be so awful.
That would be pretty funny though.
Yeah, but something like that, where it's like a standard test that the team has a certain amount of time. That way, the buzzers aren't coming into play because a lot of people knew the answers, but they couldn't buzz in or whatever else. So.
No, that actually, I could see that working.
So we might do that. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. So let's dive back a little bit back into business and then into life. So I thought of this as you were coming over and as we've talked in the past of you made that decision of going and starting your own thing. And in your case, you were kind of like taking clients, small clients, when you could. But people out there are probably wrestling with that decision of should I start my own business? When would it make sense? When should I dive all in and be ready to quit my day job versus keeping something just for a security reason? Like what advice would you give to people who are wanting to start their own business?
Yeah, the answer is it's different for everyone. And that's one thing that I've learned, and I'm actually going to be starting a podcast probably soon, is I do want to share the stories of different people, how they started. It's literally different for everyone, and there's not a right or wrong way. I think the bigger, more important thing is when you do decide to start is you go all in on it. And if that means, because a lot of people too will say like, oh, if it's a side hustle, you can't go all in. I get what they're saying, but like there are going to be certain situations where you have bills and a wife and kids, and you can't just go all in with no revenue. So you need to go on your side hustle until you have one. And so I think it's different for everyone. And the other thing too, which is one of the things I'm actually going to be doing, I'm creating a mastermind actually right now to launch 10 businesses for people. Because I think just for me growing from 0 to 7 figures, because we just barely hit $1 million top line revenue last year. Nice. I've learned a ton. And also just like the tech stack you have to put together, the business plan, the marketing plan. Like if you have all of that, like if you're somebody who's had an idea to start a business and maybe you're hesitant, you don't have to like quit everything. Also, there's people within my company that I'm encouraging them, and they have started side hustles or businesses, but they're more of an entrepreneur type. They want to be at a startup where they're still impacting our company a lot, but they don't necessarily want to be the front line that is on the floor curled up in the fetal position. Like, how am I going to make payroll this time, right?
Yeah.
Like I got to make something happen, or have all that pressure and taxes and all that stuff. They might just want to. So there's so many different ways you can go about it, and so it's different for everyone. So deep down, like if you trust yourself, you have all the answers within, and so you'll know when it's right. You'll literally get pushed off the cliff if that's what it needs to be to get you started. But I would just seek other references, other business owners, other people, and get advice and kind of get some of those cheat codes. And then, but at the end of the day, don't just ask 20 people. Like you yourself know inside when it's right for you to jump. You'll feel it, and you'll have that peace and comfort, and you'll go with it. But there's not a right or wrong way to do it.
I love that. And I think too, like, as I think through, for whatever reason, keyword research came into my mind. And so it's like, if you have an idea, you need to know if there's a market for that. And then, and money is life, right? So you have to know, what can you live on? What are your obligations, again, to family or to mortgages or whatever else? And then, is what you're thinking, is there a big enough market for you to get to your goal of sustainability there? And so it's kind of like,
and that's exactly like in a mastermind, we will go through all of those things, because you might have an idea and it might be your passion, but maybe your passion doesn't translate to real world revenue and dollars yet.
Yeah.
So you do need to have a profit business,
whether
that is your full 9 to 5 job, and that's how you pay your bills. Then 100% go all in on your passion one, but you probably can still keep your full-time job.
Yeah.
If, and so 100% you need to go through that. And so that's one thing that I've definitely learned, and I feel like I can help anyone with. And dude, I talk with, I don't even know how many business owners, different businesses every week, like 10 to 20 consistently for like the last, 2.5, 3 years. And then with all just it's just, I feel like I could help somebody in that spot. And that's why I want to do it. It's like a give back. Like I want to like help you through that. Cause I also know there's probably a ton of people that have been thinking about starting something for years. And that's also the situation you want to get in. You don't want to just be the person that just thinks and thinks and thinks and has ideas. Like, if you have an idea, let's hash it out, let's execute it, and let's get it started.
Yeah.
I
think there's a lot of joy and fulfillment that comes from that. And I'm just going to speak from a Man Games perspective, because that's the context of this. But to take like this idea of, let's get together with a group of guys and go play a bunch of sports and see who's the most athletic, to now where, as I mentioned, like our previously we limited it to 8 teams, and we had 8 teams in the first 9 hours, and we're at 9 teams after 12 or 14 hours or whatever it is. And so like, that's been fun to have an idea and then see it happen. So whoever's listening to this, like, if you have an idea, I think there are ways to do it. Just be smart about it.
And in your situation, this is not like Man Games is not, I know for a fact it's not your profit business.
Right.
Because if you did, you guys would be living probably on the street in a box. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just because you're investing so much of the money that we put into it back into growing it. The quality of the product that you get, like the Man Games, the one that I asked you about.
The backpack?
I asked you about it because I accidentally left it at the airport behind the security, and I was like, I don't know what brand back. It says Man Games on it.
Yeah.
Because I had it, an employee had to go grab it, and luckily
Yeah.
they found it had all my stuff in it. But
Yeah.
like the quality of products you get, which I'm big on, like the events you go to, and you just get like the
Garbage.
promo garbage. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
And so just like I know you're not making.
I've yet to make a profit.
Yeah, exactly.
So it all goes back to everybody.
Exactly. He's just worried that this is your passion. This
Yeah.
is something you're doing it for a bigger purpose to connect people, to bring other business owners, other men together. And it's really cool because, again, to that context, this is one of your things you're spending a lot of time on, but it's not something you're making money from.
Yeah.
And you can start business that way. But I will say, Eric keeps up this effort in 10 years. He probably is going to be making more money from this than your current profit job. Like it has the potential to blow up to where now you have like Man Games across the US or wherever. I don't know what your vision for it is. No, for real. I don't know what your vision is, but like, you know what I mean? That's the cool part is that consistent effort compounds.
Yeah.
And you'll have the ability to take it wherever you want to take it. Like I don't think I've heard one person that has been like, oh, Man Games was not worth the money or it was a waste of time. Like, dude, everyone loves it.
Well, I appreciate
And so
that. It's good to hear that.
Yeah. So anyway, going back to that, I think, you'll know when it's right. And if it is a passion business, then make sure you have your profit one cranking or your job that's bringing in the money to pay the bills and then go all in on it.
Yeah, I love it. Love that. Well, let's go off that. What swag item needs to be at the next Man Games in the next Man Games swag bag?
For me, I loved that golf stand.
Yeah.
I was gonna get one, and then
Yeah.
I think Bobby or Nate wanted it. I was like, oh, you can have it. It's cool. And I got the poker chips, but
Yeah.
I loved that one just because.
This thing?
Yeah. Yep. So I because I'm
For the camera there.
yeah.
I range sports.
Because there's so many times where, and because my office is right by Thanksgiving Point.
Yeah.
So I'll go over there just for like my lunch or something and go hit a bucket and just to have that and then look at your form.
Yeah.
It actually makes a huge difference. I remember the first time I actually saw myself wakeboarding and I was like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
Because I was like super like squatting way down and, being more like relaxed and standing up straight. Anyway, I didn't know I was doing that until I saw someone recording me. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so for me, golf right now, that was cool. So, but honestly, I don't think I've ever gotten anything in the swag boxes that I'm like, dude, this is dumb or stupid. Like it's all been, I love the bags.
Yeah.
I actually use that as like my main gym bag. The one that I
Nice.
think that was from
2 times ago.
2 times ago.
Yeah.
And then the backpack is like my everyday backpack right now.
Yeah, I love it.
So
That's awesome. Yeah, so iRange actually, this is the mini that they came out with, and you can clamp it onto anything. It also has a little tripod, so you think of like putting.
like the cart and stuff too.
Yeah, you can clamp it on the cart. It's got a little tripod, so if you're like putting, as an example, I've used this in pickleball. I've used this like all over the place. So the mini one's pretty cool too. Yeah, iRange Sports.
I like that one just because like I'm getting into golf.
What's something that you haven't had yet that should be in this swag bag? And I try to think of like what can they use while they're at Man Games to a certain extent.
I like socks, dude.
Yeah,
I like socks. Like if we can get some cool like Man Games like
nice.
higher socks that are like swagged out or whatever with the logo on them, that would be cool.
All right, I think we did that in 2021.
Yeah, I think
I'll have to get those again.
Yeah, I don't think I was in that one, but
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. What is a new skill that you are learning right now?
new skill. I mean, I keep going back to golf. I'm trying to learn that. Yeah, golf. I'll just say golf. Since that's the first thing that came to my mind. But
What's a book that you're reading right now?
a book. So I just read U Squared.
Okay.
It was a shorter book. Super. You should 100% read it.
I'll have to check it out.
It was awesome. It talks about basically quantum growth, like making a quantum leap And if you kind of do the same thing that you've always done, you're not going to get there. But it's also possible. And it's kind of cool because like we've doubled in revenue, like business wise for like every year. But I'm like, yeah, if we doubled again and doubled again, like it still is like a long journey, but why could you not go from X amount to like 10X the growth? And it kind of gets into a lot of those principles and the mindset that you need to have to do it. But it was a quick read. I just actually, I think I just finished it, but
Nice.
that one was a good one. So U squared.
U squared. Awesome. I'll check that out for sure. When was a time when you were deliriously happy?
Deliriously happy. Delirious kind of throws it off for me, but I think honestly, like right now, dude, I'm just super happy. Like it is and again, like over the last year, like I'm learning that I don't need to force things. I don't need to, and I'm such a work, like put in the work, but like once, like the message I've been getting for the last year is like slow down to speed up. And the minute I've started kind of slowing down, like, dude, things are just flowing in and it's crazy. Like, see, this crazy. It's not crazy. It's normal. It's magic. But it's just cool. It's happy. And me and my wife are in such a good spot. Our kids, like everything is like life is good. Like I'd say right now, talking to Eric on the podcast, dude, this is the moment that I'm gonna peg back.
That is so cool. What are you most proud of?
Most proud of? Probably my family, dude. Like my kids, man, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get emotional just talking about them, but yeah, they're all it's cool. Like, so we had boy, girl, and dude, each one of them is so different.
Yeah.
And you see it, but they're like have their own powers and strengths and like gifts. And it's so cool. Like being a dad is like the coolest thing ever. Like for reals. Like, and like, yeah. So my kids, if I keep talking, I'm gonna get more emotional. I almost teared up. That one got me right off. That caught me off guard right there.
What is the age range of your kids?
So 8 down to almost 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're pretty evenly spaced. So yeah, 8, 6, 3. Is Easton 3? Yeah, he's 3. He's almost 4, and then almost 2.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's cool. They have their own gifts. They have their own strengths. Like even Tinley, our youngest, like me and my wife were talking about today. She walks around the house with her little baby and puts her in her stroller, and I'm like, it's so cool to me that like our girls tend to be more nurturing and like loving and just have that, as we're like, dude, Easton like is so creative. He'll sit and play Legos for like 3 hours. He doesn't want anyone. He's in his own world. He's like so creative. Yeah. And he actually doesn't talk very well yet. And it's funny because like the outside world's like, oh my gosh, he's not talking or da-da-da. I'm like, he still speaks in sentences when he wants to, but like, dude, he doesn't care about speaking right now. He like is in his creative world, and like, you know, going back to like life and stuff, like, dude, if we could all just create like kids, dude, we'd all have massive businesses and all these things. Like if we just stayed in that creative space. Yeah. And that's like where he's at all the time. And then like, Emery, who's my 6-year-old daughter, she's like super powerful too. And it comes to like just how she is like, when it comes to like the spiritual side or, just like the super self-confidence. She's like super sassy and like exactly how I want my girl to be. Like nobody's going to tell her to be able to do anything that she doesn't want to do. Yeah. Like she literally is going to do exactly what she wants to do. And I have full like confidence at. And then like my oldest son, Tayson, he is just, and it's funny because like the first and second kid get pegged a lot, but they're pretty similar to that, where he's just super sweet. He is always taking care of everyone else around him. And is just super like, he's so self-aware. I have like adult conversation with him, and then I'm like, dude, you're 8. And then I go back to think when I was 8, and I'm like, dude, I think I was thinking like candy, chocolate, candy. Yeah. You know, and it's just cool. So I would say the most thing that makes me proud is that I've done is my kids, even though my contribution to that, my wife did a lot more. So it's cool.
That's so weird with like my 10-year-old now. I've gotten to that point, and it's happened several times over the years where it's like we just had an adult conversation. Like, when did you get so smart?
Yeah.
Like,
Do
she
you remember
knows
being that
things.
way when you were 10?
No, I was just like,
I don't remember
how
that.
did you know that?
Well, and I thought about it a lot because I'm like, dude, how are you guys so smart? Or how do you have these? And I look at it, I'm like, I don't even remember being that age and having those. And I think a lot of it is the technology.
Yeah.
Cause like I think I remember 2 videos when I was like under 5 that I even like can kind of vaguely recall. Think about them with their life, like everything that we record on our phone, like they can go watch all the memories of their whole life. And so they're actually learning probably at a way faster rate than us because they're not just relying on their memory. They get technology to feed back into that memory bank. And so they're able to remember, and learn and all these things. And that's my theory, at least anyway, because that's like really the only thing that's different.
I think even with us, right? Like I had this passion to learn how to swim, and I could look up YouTube videos, and there are all these things where I could and then I could record it, and I could get feedback of like, okay, to your point of, I'm not doing what I think I'm doing. I had the same experience with tennis. Like in my mind, I looked like Roger Federer, and everything was perfect. And then the first time I had it recorded, I was like, whoa, that is not good.
Yeah, because going back to like our parents and grandparents, right?
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of times technology gets a bad rap, but like, I mean, I even remember Daniel the Tiger, dude, he taught Tayson emotion.
Yeah.
Because he talks about being sad and happy. And I think Tayson was like 3 or 4 at the time. And he was like, Dad, I'm sad or I'm happy. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then we talked and he's like, yeah, Daniel the Tiger. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So the show helped you. So again, there's like good parts of that about it and bad parts about it. But I think more often than not, the media wants you to make you feel like everything's negative.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you should have your kids sit on an iPad or watch Netflix for all day or whatever, but it's cool. That's like the different thing in their life that we didn't have. Or, I watched Barney on VHS.
Dude, mine was Michael Jordan videos. Like that's what I remember from as early as I can remember. It's just we had 2 of them. And that's Michael Jordan's Playground and Michael Jordan Come Fly With Me.
And I watched. I watched the over and over again. We had the VHS of the 1998 Super Bowl run for the Broncos.
Yeah.
And I watched that thing all the time.
That's
like
awesome.
just because it was like, that's where I was. And I thought it was normal at the time. The Jazz were making it to the NBA Finals every year. Broncos were winning the Super Bowl.
Life was
and
good.
then I realized, I'm like, wow, this actually doesn't happen that often when you go back to it. So
that's awesome. Well, we'll get a couple more. I know you got to be out of here at a certain time. Speaking of the kids, how did your perception of life in general, as well as your perception of your parents, change when you had kids?
A lot. I think you learn a lot about like kind of recounting your childhood. Because my parents are awesome, and I think they did the best for what they had, right? And kind of just the knowledge and things like that. And because my dad, early on in my life, when I was like 4 or 5, he had a brain tumor, and it affected a lot of things. Like he almost died. He actually did die for like a few minutes. And my mom at that time, like looking back at it, with having kids now, we had 5 kids. Me and my wife have 4. And I'm just trying to imagine my wife kind of getting, a surgery where she can't do everything that she could and me having to pick up the slack. And so it makes a lot of sense, like looking back on it now after I've had kids, like how my parents kind of were and how whatever, like my mom just really had to put her heads down and like power through. And like, it's kind of crazy. Like when you look at that type of stuff, right? 'Cause it's like without having kids, you don't have the context of how much work they are and how much time and effort and energy. And dude, I could not do it without my wife. Like I don't think I could, like, but I mean, in a situation, maybe you figure it out. And so there's certain things like that just gives you so much more perspective and appreciation and all that stuff. But it's like the best, most rewarding job, but it also like takes so much energy and time. But it's also like every second's worth it, and, man, we could go really deep, but it's just like the meaning of life and everything. And it's hard because it's like, what is all this? But really at the end of the day, it's like, I was talking to my wife, we were on our 75 hard walk last night, and we were talking about, I think the most important thing just as being present in every moment and just enjoying, like, especially with the kids. Like, my son's 8, and it's like, dude, he's gonna be he's lived more than a third of his life with us on the daily basis. Like, I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
And so I think just being present every moment and kind of looking back at that, and it's like, when you were a kid, it's like, I always remember my parents like supporting me in all my sports and kind of always being there. There's certain things that maybe how you were parented that you do differently. Like, there's just a lot of things, and
Yeah.
it's cool. It definitely is a game changer when you have kids to kind of see all of that. So
I think it's wild. Like, I've learned how much my parents genuinely like loved you, right? I think in the teenage years, we can't see past our own nose. Like, everything is just right there, and I need instant, it's all about me. And then you have a kid, and it's just like there's so much more that you're responsible for. And then even like our daughter was our first, and it was like, right when she comes out, it's like, I'm ready to die for this thing. And I haven't even met it. Like, that's you meeting it, and I'm ready to do anything in the whole world. And so then the context of that, of my mom and all the stuff that she did to keep me safe and to like make sure that my life was okay, and my dad as well, of, like, just, they cared. And especially like teenage years, I was thinking of like, they just hated me, or they didn't want me to have fun, or they didn't want this. Like, why do I have a curfew? And it's like, no, like, they didn't want me to die, like being an idiot teenager with friends doing stupid stuff. So it really expanded that.
And I feel like at the end of the day, like, me and you are really blessed in that sense, where we did have a home with both parents. Yeah. And
that cared.
Yeah. That were willing to do things for us that maybe other parents, like my parents, didn't have any like addictions or just anything. And so like, to that point, I can see like even in other situations, you actually learn from how you don't want to be as a parent, because as a kid you had to struggle with that or whatever. So it's just cool. And you look at like generational things and things that you want to fix. And that's what, as a parent with your kids, you can be the one that changes that whole generational trauma or whatever is going on, or, and that, if you put in that context too, it just is like, there's a massive responsibility, but also an opportunity. And just, life is crazy, dude. Like, all the different many levels of it. It's really fun. And
it's a wild ride. Okay. 4 more questions. How do you want to be remembered?
That's a great question. I think, 'cause I've thought a lot about legacy, like, especially when my grandpa passed, and then when Hillary's grandpa passed. It's like, you think about like their legacy, and it's cool to, like, when you go to like their funeral and stuff, and like see all the friends and family that they've affected. I think for me, my legacy is, I just want to impact as many people as I can, as for the positive. Evil's real. There's a lot of evil people out there. There's also a lot of good people. And I think that's why I want to make just crazy amounts of wealth, not to like buy 27 Lamborghinis. I mean, I'll take one, I'll have
26.
Yeah. But it's more like to like combat that evil, or like I was really touched last night. I watched the Mr. Beast video where he helped 1,000 blind people that just didn't have the resources to do it. And it's like, that's what I want my legacy to be. And that's where people always like, money's bad or this. And dude, it's bad in the wrong hands, sure. But like, money allows you to be able to make massive change. And that's what I'm working for. That's why I work so hard, is because like, I truly believe that it's my calling, that I need to do that to help all these people that maybe just had other disadvantages or just whatever it might be. And that's what I want my legacy to be. And then I want to be able to like pass it on to my kids and have them step into their powers and their truths and all the stuff, that they can help as many people as well. And that can be like our family legacy. And it's just cool. And if you truly look at the wealthy people, most of them are like the most generous people you ever met.
Yeah.
And it's because they just let money flow through them. Like, okay, I'm going to give it to this person that needs it more than I do, but then it comes back to them tenfold, and they give tenfold, and it comes out, it's just like this never ending thing. But yeah, I think that's like what I want my legacy to be is I can just see like just impacting just massive amounts of people like all over. Like if I like visualize it, I can just see like an endless crowd, like the ocean, like just so many people of all the people that I helped. And that's like my end goal. And if I fall short of it, cool, I helped just a little bit less amount of that people, right? So it's kind of a win-win for me. But
very cool. All right, the last three, if you've watched any of the Man Games podcasts, same last three questions. So the first one is, who has not been to Man Games that needs to be at the next one?
The one that I was thinking of, my brother-in-law who married my sister is Matt. He is cousin of the Raymonds.
Okay, yeah.
And so I've thought about, like, again, going back to the question, brains or athletic or both. But I was like, dude, Cody needs to come out here.
He'd
like
do well.
Cody would do really well. And Cody, I've played golf with him a few times. He's actually really good at golf. Super competitive, like competitive where it's so fun. We like can talk crap back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
So I think like maybe even Nick too. Nick's really athletic.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law is pretty athletic too. The problem that I was talking to my brother-in-law, and I'm like, the only problem there is we wouldn't have any height. Like you guys are all shorter. You're all super athletic and whatever. And so we were like, okay, well then. So it's funny because knowing the events, you're like, well, we got to have height for basketball. But if we, so.
This next one, volleyball is the only one that's really height specific because basketball is going to be a 3-point contest. So it's not going to be a full 3-on-3 thing.
See, so
that'll impact who
maybe I will. Because I don't know what Bobby and Snar and Cody and all those guys that I've been with before are doing.
Yeah.
But
okay,
maybe I'll do some recruiting.
Cody Raymond.
We got Cody Raymond. This is your call out.
Who from the last Man Games would you like to see on the podcast and hear more about?
The first one that I thought was Bobby.
Tuesday, he's coming on.
Yep, and then honestly, Cody, dude, like I got to know because they were all like really close high school friends. I was kind of the odd guy out that hadn't really got to know Snar or Cody super well. Man, and we had some sweet heart to hearts in the hot tub going back to our Airbnb and just like, I think both of them, like, and I watched Snars.
Yeah.
He was probably one of the ones that I watched all the way from start to finish.
Yeah. And
so I've gotten to know him a lot better. Bobby's an awesome dude, as you know.
Yeah.
Cody's really cool too. So I would say any of my teammates, dude. Like, so
Bobby's
Cody,
Tuesday. So Cody, you gotta come on.
Get on and come tell your story, dude.
Yeah.
So.
Last one. What does it mean to you to be a man?
To be a man, I knew this was coming, and I purposely did not prepare for it because I wanted it to flow through me in the moment. I didn't want to like have some written out answer. As you're saying it, I think the biggest thing to me is a man is someone with integrity. I think intention is the most important thing that anyone and any man needs. And if you always have like your good intentions, like true good intentions for whatever you do, you never have to worry or feel like you're not doing enough or all the things. Like if you just approach it with good intention in any situation, with your wife, with your kids, with business, with friends, with family, if you have good intentions, I think you're good. And I think a man, as far as like today's society, they always go into like the toxic masculinity and all that stuff. And sure, there can be some of that, but I really think a man is somebody that can protect and can lead and can kind of be that barrier between like your family and the world. And, again, going back to impact, like that's again, one of the things that I feel is just really important for me is like being that man that is willing to take on the world, I guess, take on the evil and be that front facing person. And I can have a lot of people that fall behind me and we can make a big impact. But I think at the end of the day, it's integrity in your intentions. And if a true man is somebody with good intentions all the time. And are we going to fall short of that? The actual outcome all the freaking time, but if you intend to do good, then your fails become learnings, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, I love that. And I love the fact, and we kind of alluded to it where we didn't know each other well in high school, but as we've kind of gotten older and through man games and everything else, it seems like every time I'm with you, I get a little bit deeper picture of who you are as a person. And you continue to impress me. So again, I appreciate you, what you're doing in life and what you're doing to impact people. I appreciate you coming to man games and fulfilling what we have as that kind of dream of what it means to be a man and how to help people and just including athleticism and everything else. So I sincerely appreciate you spending a minute or an hour and 43 minutes with me. And
dude, it's felt like
telling your
5
story.
minutes.
I know, it goes fast. Like, you could do this again and we still have plenty to talk about.
And I think to your point, appreciate you having me on and man games. Like I said, I think it's bigger than, you're making it bigger than just you, right? It's not even for you. It's for everyone else. And we all see that and appreciate it. And when I get my podcast up and rolling, I'm going to have you on because I think, the great host that you are, you let us talk about us, and everyone likes to talk about themselves. And so I would want to flip the roles where we can get really deep into Eric and Eric's life and philosophies and all this stuff.
It's a dark hole, man.
No,
it's a dark.
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. But that's anyway. So I do appreciate it. This has been awesome. But yeah, dude, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, man. Okay, you're awesome.
Appreciate it.